Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Kansas City-based guitarist, composer, and educator Alan Voss. Originally from Independence, Missouri, he moved to the East Coast for some time before coming back to Kansas City to raise a family. These days, he leads bands of his own and freelances with various other groups. He's promoting his debut and new 2023 album called Baobab. It's a fascinating tree that proves a great metaphor. We cover his life, this album, and the future, along with a little bit more. Enjoy this interview.
Hey, thanks for reaching out. Thanks for taking a minute out. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So before we get into your debut album, which is a big deal, a big, shout into the jazz world, the first statement, I want to know, especially now we're looking at the March calendar. I'm sure there's PTSD from 2020. And I'm wondering how you survived that 3-year period and how it's changed the way that you approach music and life now.
Well, everything kind of slowed down. It gave me a little more time to practice and also consider writing this album. It was pretty tough. I tried to do some live streams. I work with a singer named Heidi McHale, and we did a few live streams. But yeah, it was just definitely surreal for sure.
Well, and I guess looking on the back end of this, the beauty of it is that the world's waking up, and I know for sure Kansas City is really coming to life with live music. Releasing your debut album has to feel good now.
Oh yes, it's for sure. It's been a long time coming as well. But I was super glad to work on the project and work with such great musicians and realize it, and kind of like you said, kind of coming out of the pandemic, get the ball rolling. Like, here I am, Yeah.
So it's the name of the project is Baobab, correct?
Yeah. Right.
So talk to me a little bit, with this being your opening statement into the world of jazz, the world community in Kansas City. Talk to me about how you artistically crafted this project and put it together.
Well, as I was beginning to work on some ideas for the album on new music, I had read an article about Baobab trees, and it said that they typically don't bear fruit for the first 50 years. And I thought, wow, I'm 51, and I'm working on my first album. So it kind of struck a nerve, and then I started reading more about the trees and how they are a vital resource even in deserts, where they the fruit that they produce is very nutritious for animals and even humans, and they store up water in their trunk, and animals can chew on the bark and survive, and they're sort of an odd looking tree, and I suppose I'm maybe odd looking, so it kind of resonated with me, and my hope for the album is that it will be a source of hope for people, that it will be something to maybe lift their mood or make them make their day better, something maybe a little meditative, but I've always kind of leaned towards the ethereal sound. I love everything from ECM, the ECM catalog, and so, and I and in the world where sometimes more notes and everything is better, in my world, I like to leave a little space and leave some room for melodic ideas to develop, So that was kind of the goal that we had for the album.
What a majestic tree. It looks kind of like a hybrid between a bonsai and a Joshua tree, and
yeah.
maybe a big redwood trunk kind of thing. That's pretty cool. That's a great story. Great metaphor, tie-in. So, Alan, let's get to the beginnings of this. Speaking of tree, your roots of how you got into jazz and music. Take me back to where you were born and raised and how this jazz journey began for you. Where were the seeds planted for you?
Well, I was born in Independence. I've lived here in Kansas City area most of my life. We lived on the East Coast for about about 8 years, and then came back and raised our son here. But my mother would play a lot of B.B. King, Aretha Franklin, Sam Cooke, Gladys Knight, those types of records. And my dad loved, he would play Sandy Nelson records. And that's kind of my foray into drums, and actually drums were my first instrument. And I always, as a kid, I always dreamed of being a professional musician. So I would listen to all kinds of music, and I would read Modern Drummer magazine, and of course, Art Blakey, Elvin Jones was in there, Max Roach. I would read about all these drummers, and then I would go check out their music, and really fell in love with Elvin Jones a lot. I love anything that Elvin Jones is on. But I started listening to these records, and then I started, an appreciation for jazz. And there was always kind of a guitar around the house, and so I would kind of play with both and write some music, here and there. But then as I got older, I'd always dreamed of going to Berklee College of Music, and I ended up going there when I was 25. Because at age 25 you're considered an adult, so I got more loans basically. It's very, very expensive school, basically just as much as medical school. So, but you come out with, you don't have a medical degree, you're a musician. So, but I started studying guitar, and then got to Berklee and completed their core music program and studied a little bit of jazz composition. And the whole process there, the whole experience there at Berklee was amazing, with all the visiting artists. And I rode the elevator with Gary Burton a few times, but I had some great teachers there. And then we lived on the East Coast for a while, New York State. And then, like I said, we came back and raised our son here. But I had been in various bands over the years. I was in Green Card, the reggae band, back in the 90s. Used to play the Grand Emporium, various rock bands and a little bit of blues. And so, but then the jazz bug kind of hit me, and that's kind of been my focus since Berklee and on. So
that's wonderful. Yeah, man, the Grand Emporium, what a magic place.
Yeah, so many great memories.
Yeah, for sure. So talk to me a little bit. You kind of gave me the timeline that's been pretty accurate. What's going on with you in the Kansas City jazz scene now and playing live shows?
Well, I've been working with Heidi McHale for several years. We've played the Phoenix. We used to play 12 Baltimore. We've played Stock Hill, various places. And then I had, as a drummer, I had a jazz trio where we did some hotel residencies and various functions, different places, basically any place we could find. So I am still a little bit of an outsider, and not a lot of people know me or know of me. So I'm hoping the album helps with that. Like you said, it's kind of a statement. Like, here I am. This is what I love. So hopefully people resonate with it. It may not be traditional jazz per se. It may not be tick all the boxes for everybody, but hopefully it's something they can resonate with and appreciate. So
sounds good, man. So what is it that you like? I know you were here initially, went to the East Coast and came back, but coming back and seeing the Kansas City scene, what do you like the best about the Kansas City jazz scene?
Well, there's such a rich, history and in the scene, a thread that goes through so many of the older musicians that mentored younger musicians, and there are, for a while there it was pretty slim, and I think it's come back. There are more opportunities. Of course, we lost Jardines and some of the other places, but other places have popped up. So I personally love to play, listening rooms, which I wish we had more. I'm hoping that we can get some more listening environments. I love Westport Coffee House for that aspect. Tom is doing an amazing thing there, offering a place where you can, kind of create an experience, and it's not just, the bar scene. But I always kind of prefer, being a kind of an ethereal artist. I love to set a mood and kind of fill the room with a certain vibe and a certain, ambiance. And it's kind of hard to do that when it's loud. And, and I understand people are having fun and listening, and that's great. There's a time for that. But I personally love to, kind of create the vibe, and I've been looking for places where I can hold concerts and do that. So,
especially being away from Kansas City and coming back, what do you like the best about Kansas City as a city?
Well, there's so much. We have, an amazing. The Kaufman is an amazing performing arts center. I'm proud of Kansas City for that. We have the Nelson. We have great museums, great artists. So many artists of different disciplines here. We have, such a rich blues history as well, and the jazz, of course. The young and old jazz musicians are kind of percolating here, kind of like a mixing pot of all different. You have traditional jazz, you have more contemporary with hip hop and rap mixed in. The Marcus Lewis Big Band is happening. So yeah, I'm really proud of Kansas City. When I was younger, the downtown area was just vacant at night. Nothing going on down there. So I'm glad that's developed, and there's an energy to a city where there are things going on. If you go to New York, there's always something going on, and there's an excitement and an energy to it that you kind of feed off as an artist. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I was just curious, speaking of live music, what was the first live show, jazz show specifically, that you ever saw that really motivated you or made you want to do it?
Oh boy. Probably, to be honest, Ida Macbeth, who we just unfortunately lost. I was crushed, but my mom would take me to hear Ida Macbeth at the Point quite a bit, and man, just herself, just amazing. Just the gift and talk about captivating a room. She had that ability. And then always just top flight musicians played with her. I used to try to hear Inner String with Danny Embry and Rod Fleeman and Bob Bowman as often as I could. So that was a rich guitar inspiration for me as well.
Right on. So why do you love jazz?
Why do I love jazz? Well, I just love the freedom of it. Of course, you work on your craft and you work on your the mechanics of it, but I just love the freedom that it embodies, as far as spontaneously creating melodies. I do have, of course, everybody has their licks and their go-to things that they do that kind of give them character, but I love to explore kind of on the edge and just work on finding melodies. That's my mode of operation is finding melodies that are beautiful. And I do love to play free as well, and even sometimes it's I enjoy playing just noise or random things, but typically I love to have a palette, something to float on and search for melodies. That's the fun part for me, and working with a band to kind of develop some themes and see what we can do as far as playing the songs differently every time, exploring and finding new ways to express the melody and the harmony that's there. So for me, jazz is it's a conversation. You learn your alphabet, you learn your ABCs, you learn your the certain terms and certain things, and then you just have a conversation, which is a lot of fun for sure.
Absolutely. So everyone out there has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your fans, but ultimately you live your life. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I guess I've never been able to fit the mold. As much as I've tried, I've never fit, I always had to kind of find my own way, for better or for worse. And, I kind of thrive on not fitting the mold. And basically, usually if you tell me I can't do something and I really want to do it, I will do it. I will find a way, I just, I kind of like being, a little bit of an outsider, a little different. I try, I have a lot of influences, but I try not to just, mimic those people. I just try to kind of find my own way and take from different people, different musicians, the things that I like, and then incorporate it into my own thing. So yeah, I guess just being an individualist a little bit is kind of my musical personality. So
let me ask you this: if we were to get into a time machine and go back in time and see anybody in the history of Kansas City Jazz Live, say on 18 and Vine, who would you want to see?
Oh, well, definitely, Charlie Parker, of course. The early, Jay McShann it would be amazing to see Jay McShann as a young man, tearing it up down there. A lot of the great singers. Yeah, it would just be fascinating. And then, all the artists that came through town as well. And then, of course, you have some of the older blues artists as well. So it would be fascinating for sure.
Absolutely. Alan, hey man, thank you for reaching out to Neon Jazz. I really appreciate you taking time out and opening up about your life and music, and best of luck with this album and the release. I look forward to catching you live.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate you as well.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in Boston, New York City, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Alan for his time, energy, and cool. If you want to hear more interviews, you can find Neon Jazz interviews on Apple Podcast, Spotify. You can subscribe to us at YouTube. And for everything Neon Jazz, the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.